Speed has always carried a strange duality. It is both the simplest expression of mechanical purpose and the most dangerous temptation of human curiosity. Every new generation of engineering pushes the threshold a little further. Lighter materials, sharper software, more precise control. Yet, somewhere between wind resistance and raw horsepower, there's always one machine that refuses to follow expectations. This story is about that machine. A purpose-built experiment that redefined what street performance could mean. By the time its turbocharged heart was fully realized, it had not only rewritten numbers but challenged the very definition of a production motorcycle. Before we dive into its evolution, origins, and record-breaking legacy, remember to like, subscribe, and tell us which machine you want covered next. The Suzuki Hayabusa Turbo 2023 grew from a proven line. The first model set big expectations long ago. Rules and safety shaped the platform. A focused team asked how far controlled acceleration could go with careful tuning. The base engine was known for strength. The cases and gearbox handled serious load. A precise turbo setup and a clean fuel map changed its character. Power came in a measured way. Each change was tested and logged. Every update balanced drive, feel, and stability. The target was repeatable thrust with calm behavior. Runs were guided by data. The result felt quick and predictable on normal roads. This machine was not built for casual riders. The suspension received careful tuning for strong launches and real streets. Subtle body tweaks improved airflow. Stability stayed calm at very high speed. Road use needed more than hardware. Control logic acted as a quiet safety layer. Boost control worked with traction management. Delivery changed by gear and tire grip. Power rose only when the tire held the road. For years, garage builds explored this idea. Many stayed out of view. This version aimed at reliability that holds up in public use. The goal was responsible design that can be repeated and maintained. The personality is disciplined. It raises performance while asking for smooth inputs. Test riders reported a steady feel at speed. The bike moved with a glide rather than a rush. Throttle action felt precise. Responses were clean and linear. The sound carried a tight whistle and a firm surge. The tone suggested control more than drama. The project also speaks to the future. Electric platforms offer instant drive. This path answers with airflow craft, combustion efficiency, and careful body shaping. It blends traditional parts with modern software. Early trials met heat limits. Long pulls raised exhaust temperature. Coated manifolds added oil cooling and bigger radiators solved the issue. Injectors gained flow. Pistons were revised to resist harsh conditions. Composure under load became a theme. The frame stayed settled on long runs. The brakes kept a steady feel. Software adapted to weather and altitude. The turbo system faded from notice during cruise. The shift from city pace to high pace felt smooth. No drama, just guided force. It behaved like two bikes in one. A calm commuter and a focused sprinter shared the same frame. Modern rules add pressure on design. Targets for speed and emissions are strict. Meeting those while keeping high performance showed what careful engineering can do. The point was balance, not show. Comparisons will come. The package invites them without noise. Small details carry the result. Clutch packs, shift logic, and cooling plans support long sessions. Systems aim at lasting, controllable power. In the end, the build asks for trust. Trust in hardware that talks clearly to the rider. Trust in feedback that stays the same run after run. Human intent and machine response meet through the right hand. At very high speed, witnesses felt surprise and then focus. When control stays clean, pace becomes rhythm and numbers fade into feel. That is the core of this machine. It is not only faster, it is also smarter and calmer. The Suzuki Hayabusa Turbo 2023 is more than a speed story. It reads like control theory in metal, carbon, and software. Each subsystem seeks balance. As performance targets rose, solutions became cleaner and more precise. Real innovation sits in how forces are managed and translated into trust. Numbers matter less than feel. The bike turns raw energy into motion the rider can read. Confidence grows when delivery stays smooth and predictable. The core is boost management. Logic maps how air and fuel meet under changing conditions. Unlike older fixed control, this system adapts to throttle, gear, and wheel speed. It gives the right thrust at the right moment. Adapting in real time keeps acceleration seamless. There is no sudden step, only steady pull. The machine stays composed under pressure. That calm behavior is the point of the design. Traction and launch control support the plan. In standard mode, it feels measured. In performance mode, sensors watch wheel speed and lean. When slip appears, the system trims boost and timing in tiny steps. Those micro changes hold momentum while guarding stability. Power keeps flowing without harsh cuts. The rider feels support, not interruption. It turns large output into clean drive. The chassis carries the same idea. An aluminum twin spar frame gains extra strength at known stress points. Higher rigidity helps steering stay accurate under load. An extended swing arm adds traction on launch and steadies the rear flow. Together, these pieces turn force into controlled push. The bike stops feeling wild and starts feeling exact. The rider can place it with small inputs. Precision replaces strain, aerodynamics deserve focus. Air becomes the final opponent at very high speed. Subtle fairing and underbody changes reduce drag and tidy the wake. A revised tail calms lift while keeping the shape pure. Small surface tweaks add up to real gains. Curves guide air around the body and past the mirrors. The flow stays attached longer. Stability improves when the wind meets fewer surprises. Heat control makes the pace sustainable. Turbo hardware raises temperature fast. Liquid cooling, strong oil flow, and coated exhaust parts share the load. Extra shielding protects the rider and the control units. The transmission keeps thrust unbroken. A quick shifter and auto blip close the gap between gears. Ratios favor drive and life. A reinforced clutch holds extra load with clean engagement. Philosophy sets this machine apart. The goal is not a headline number. The goal is a fair deal between human and hardware. Technology serves the rider, not the other way around. Testing went far beyond short sprints. Long cycles stressed parts again and again. Inspect, adjust, repeat. Results showed steady behavior under peak demand and tight tolerance in boost control. Ergonomics matter at pace and at cruise. Bar and seat place the rider in a natural posture. A tucked stance comes easy when needed. Foot pegs support strong launches without punishing knees. Lessons here do not stay here. Control logic, cooling paths, and aero tricks will filter into calmer bikes. Safer delivery and lower heat help daily riders too. The project doubles as an experiment and a blueprint. Riding also works on the mind. It asks where control ends and confidence begins. When every variable is tamed, acceleration feels clear rather than loud. Emotion comes from order, not from drama. Human feedback finished what software began. Test riders noted tiny delays and textures that models missed. Data met instinct in the middle. The result feels responsive and alive. In the end, the Suzuki Hayabusa Turbo 2023 is quick because it understands balance. Every choice serves consistency under pressure. That is why its story will last even as new tech arrives. As time moved into the 2000s and beyond, the 1977 Buick Regal entered a new chapter of its story. What was once a neighborhood favorite had become a national treasure, representing the bridge between craftsmanship and culture. Enthusiasts who had grown up watching these cars glide down boulevards were now adults with the means to preserve them. The Regal transitioned from weekend project to prize collector's piece, but it never lost its roots. Its identity remained tied to the communities that gave it meaning. Even as museums and exhibitions began to recognize its artistic and historical value, collectors faced a challenge unlike any before: how to restore the 1977 Buick Regal without erasing its soul. Some chose factory restorations, returning the car to showroom perfection. Others preserved patina, letting each scratch tell part of its journey. The debate between authenticity and preservation echoed across clubs and forums. For many, the goal was not perfection but truth. The truth of where the car came from, who built it, and what it represented. These decisions highlighted a deeper question: can something born from rebellion survive inside the frame of recognition? The answer came through action, not theory. Builders continued to meet at shows, blending generations under one banner. Younger enthusiasts learned paint techniques from older masters, while engineers introduced modern upgrades to keep the Regal roadworthy. Air ride systems replaced hydraulics for some, offering comfort without losing the signature stance. Others stayed loyal to tradition, rebuilding pumps and batteries by hand. The 1977 Buick Regal became a shared project across time, where preservation itself was an act of respect. Economics also played a role in this evolution. As the market for classic cars expanded, the Regal's value rose steadily. Auctions that once ignored it began to feature it as a symbol of cultural identity and design balance. Yet, unlike other collector cars that became distant investments, most Regals remained connected to their original purpose: participation. Owners didn't just store them. They drove them, displayed them, and passed them down. The community around the 1977 Buick Regal refused to let it become a museum relic. Its continued presence on the street ensured that the art form stayed alive, visible, and proud. What set the Regal apart from many contemporaries was its emotional accessibility. A muscle car might impress with numbers, but the Regal captivated through story. It represented creativity under constraint, beauty born from patience, and pride built through unity. Every detail, the tilt of its nose, the gleam of its paint, the hum of its hydraulics, carried echoes of the people who built it. That intimacy kept the car relevant in an era defined by technology and speed. The Regal moved slower, but it moved with meaning. Modern restorers took advantage of technology in service of tradition. Digital scanning preserved body dimensions. 3D printing recreated discontinued trim pieces. Online communities archived wiring diagrams and paint codes once shared only by word of mouth. The 1977 Buick Regal had evolved from a physical artifact into a digital legacy, ensuring that future generations could rebuild it with accuracy and care. This blend of past and future mirrored the balance that defined the car from the start: luxury and strength, elegance and defiance, nostalgia and innovation. Even outside car shows, the Regal's presence continued to influence design culture. Fashion shoots, music videos, and film productions used it to evoke authenticity. Its lines represented a kind of quiet power, a reminder that confidence could exist without aggression. In cities across the country, from Los Angeles to Houston to Chicago, the sight of a 1977 Buick Regal cruising slowly under sunlight carried both reverence and joy. It was a reminder that craftsmanship still mattered, that stories could still be told through metal and motion. This legacy also sparked conversations about inclusion and representation. Many museums and cultural institutions began recognizing the lowrider movement as a vital American art form. The 1977 Buick Regal often stood at the center of those exhibits, bridging automotive history with social narrative. Visitors could trace the lineage of a car that started as a factory-built commuter and ended as a symbol of cultural resilience. Its presence validated a generation's artistry, turning what was once misunderstood into something celebrated. Through all of this, the 1977 Buick Regal continued to age gracefully. Time tested its materials but not its meaning. Each surviving example carried layers of history, fingerprints from decades of work, family memories tied to weekend gatherings, and countless stories told over the sound of idling engines. The car had transcended ownership. It belonged to everyone who saw themselves reflected in its chrome. As the world moved toward electric vehicles and automation, the Regal remained defiantly analog, a reminder of the hands that built it and the hearts that preserved it. Its endurance wasn't about resisting change, but about remembering the human side of creation. In the next and final section, we bring this journey full circle, exploring what the 1977 Buick Regal ultimately taught us about identity, artistry, and the lasting power of movement. The legacy of the Suzuki Hayabusa Turbo 2023 goes beyond timing sheets. It reshaped how innovation, responsibility, and ambition can work together. The lesson guides future work. Performance should align with human skill and precise control. After its debut, it became a reference for balanced design. It proved top speed can live with durability, comfort, and predictability. Teams adopted logic-based control, adaptive aero, and modular tuning. The influence spread quietly and widely. Its real impact is the method. Chasing a record is not enough without meaning. The project balanced ambition with restraint, technology with intuition, power with responsibility. Fast became a repeatable, data-guided experience. That mindset still shapes performance culture. Designers focus on physics and on the rider's limits. Riders focus on clarity rather than noise. Innovation earns trust when it respects both human and machine. As the industry moves toward electric drive, this machine stands as a bridge. Propulsion may change. The goal of clean connection remains. Its turbo-era ideals show how power, intelligence, and emotion can align. The method carries into electric control. Engineers studying electric superbikes borrow its data flow. Predictive logic now manages torque and regen. The philosophy is the same. The legacy is not tied to fuel. It is tied to process and verification. It also reframed the social side of performance. Custom work became craft rather than rebellion. The team showed that radical ideas can stay within rules and safety. Controlled events replaced risky displays. That example shifted the story around modification. Precision and respect for regulation can live with freedom and creativity. Builders gained credibility. Audiences gained confidence. The culture matured. Education and mentorship felt the ripple too. The project became a symbol of curiosity done well. methodical and evidence-based. Schools use it to show cross-discipline teamwork. Mechanics, data, and materials working as one. It reminds students that breakthroughs come from structure. Iteration beats impulse. Shared notes beat guesses. The myth of the lone genius gives way to proven steps that others can repeat. For everyday riders, it represents a disciplined dream. Extreme performance does not have to feel harsh. Confidence grows from invisible precision. Welds, code, and calculations all serve stability. Many riders now chase mastery through understanding. The tone moves from show to skill. Respect grows between human ability and machine potential. Progress becomes a path, not a stunt. Looking back, it feels like a 2-decade arc. The first Hayabusa redefined speed. The 2023 Turbo refined control. Together, they turned the superbike idea into human-centered engineering. Science that you can feel in your hands. It also changed how brands weigh risk and reward. Calculated innovation built prestige and longevity. Transparent tests and high-precision parts created trust beyond fans. Proof mattered more than slogans. Culturally, it became a metaphor for disciplined ambition. Limits exist to be studied and extended with care. The lesson applies to engineering, art, and sport. Progress serves purpose, not ego. Enthusiasts still meet to celebrate what it achieved. Some bring builds inspired by its approach. Others come to see the machine that turned ambition into reality. It earns respect through quiet certainty rather than noise. In the end, the story is about a better relationship with possibility. Innovation becomes a dialogue. Performance becomes discipline. Mastery becomes harmony. It is a lasting talk between present and future, between human intent and mechanical response. When engineering, creativity, and respect align, the result is more than a vehicle. It becomes a legacy. The Suzuki Hayabusa Turbo 2023 stands as that legacy. Proof that progress with integrity can redefine how we move and how we learn.